Hey, this is LOA Today, the Law of Attraction show. Welcome to LOA Today. My name is Walt Thiessen. Today is Monday, December 17, 2012. With me today is Gary Kobat. Gary describes himself as an integrative performance coach. He is the personal trainer to famous people like Will Farrell, Jim Carrey, Olympian Mitch Gaylord, and many others. He is known as the tough love coach, a no-nonsense trainer and world-class athlete whose energy for life has inspired, educated, and empowered lasting and personal and professional change for thousands. But under all of that, he relishes what drives us most, developing the quiet power of being a student of life, allowing peace, happiness, and spiritual alignment, learning the power of words and thought, and he's going to be sharing these ideas with us today. Gary is also the champion of a little-known book published in the 1920s called Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Barron, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the genesis of that book today as well as how he found it and has integrated it into his own performance system. Gary Kobat, thanks for joining us on the show today.
How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Awesome. It's a beautiful day, holiday in L.A. We've had a couple of days of rain, and it's beautiful when it rains because it just clears everything out. And everything's crystal clear, and it's kind of a bright, light feeling in L.A.
What a lovely way to look at rain. A lot of people look at rain as, it's dreary and it's dull and so forth. And you have this wonderful, bright way to look at it. That's fabulous.
Well, everything is green, Everything really gets even more green when we have some rain. So it's actually, a little patience. It's really like life. There's the up, the bright sunshine, and then there's the down or the darker, feelings and energies in ourselves. So it's, life, we call it the human experience, is up and down or light and dark. And so deep, deep, deep down inside us is our light, our essence, our divineness, our bright, our high vibrational energy, like FM radio, satellite radio now. It used to be just AM, in the 50s and 60s, and then FM came in, and then satellite radio, and it just keeps getting higher and clearer. And deep down inside us is who we really are. Our essence is energy. Our essence is love, light, and divine. But we forget that along the way. So we're really not necessarily who we think we are. And when we're misaligned, when we have things coming in from the outside, like the stress of the holidays and gifts and the cards and the parties and the cocktail parties and you don't want to leave anybody out, and you've got all of these things coming in from the outside, that's outside energy. And so we need to really, our real clarity around this time of year is not overdo it, not overcommit, not give away all of our energy. I work with a lot of women in their 40s, maybe getting a divorce, starting a new life or a new journey for themselves, and they're career-minded, and they're raising the kids, and they have an ex, and then they have a new beau, a new relationship, and they're the plates, right? They're just spinning the plates and keeping them all up and above, and it gets out of control sometimes. And then the holidays come around, and they love this time of year, and they give a lot. But boy, by the end of the holidays, they're just drained and they're fatigued. So I work with this fatigue, and we look back, and we can just see it coming. We can just see how they forgot to stay connected to who they really are. And so I work with all sorts of people from, the A-lister, right, preparing for a movie, the Olympian, visualizing a medal, to, just dealing with the holidays or raising teenagers,
Sure.
So this essence of who we really are is this energy. And so you and I were chatting about energy, and it's just understanding we're this big, amazing, beautiful vessel of energy. And our body doesn't lie. Our body's an extension of this energy. So if you really think about it, where we are right now, our body right now, are all of these decisions we've made in the past equals now. So if our body's imbalanced, and our bodies don't lie, our bodies are specifically true. It's the truth. So wherever we are, we're in this awesome health, turning 50, looking 40, feeling 30, or we're turning 50, feeling 60, looking 70, we have to take responsibility for that and just get an understanding, wrap ourselves around this energy and this energy about making decisions over the last 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 years of how we ended up here.
That can be a really big challenge, too. That can be a huge challenge for many people.
Well, sure, and it's just, actually we start by keeping it simple because it can be very, specific or complicated, and I just say, where you are is where you are. It's okay. So when we bring in this, it's okay, not it's okay and we're going to pitch a tent here and live here forever, because we know from Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, and things like that, everything changes, right? Our hair grows, our nails grow, our stomach lining changes every 30 days. We're this big, organic, growing, being of energy. Mm-hmm. So, where we're at is an extension of our decisions, and our future is now. All we have is now, right? Our happiness is now, our health is now, our vision is now, our dark feeling is now, our bright feeling is now. All we have is now. So with a runner, helping them in a marathon, or an athlete on a bike, in the pool, all they have is that next stroke, that next pedal stroke, that next foot plant, and they get in their head and they worry about 26 miles or the next 12 miles or if they're going to make it or the big hill coming up. And I'm like, no, just the next foot strike. And I have them get out of their head into their body. Why? Because if they're in their head, it's who they think they are. Okay? Or, as we always say, we break down the human being very simple, left and right. Right brain and left brain, but take out the brain, just the right and the left. And you're going down this road, and there's a fork in the road. So you can go right or you can go left. What are you going to do, right? So when we go right, it's our adult responsible self inside. And if we go left, we want to we occasionally access this childlike, irresponsible self. The self that says, oh, heck with it, I'm going to eat pizza at midnight, or I'm going to have 2 bowls of ice cream, or I'm going to, not train today, but I know I can get there. So it's a little ungrateful for their gifts.
Gee, I can't imagine the listeners are able to connect to that at all.
Right, or I'm going to have the 3rd drink or the 4th drink, and I can drive. And that's just so irresponsible. At a holiday party, a cocktail party, it's give the keys to somebody else and get home safely and appreciate that person. So this adult self is to the right, very responsible, and inside of us is the energy of a childlike, irresponsible person, okay? So we're energy. So we want to start, and I do with my clients, is I start teaching them about where this energy and become aware of your energy. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling frustrated, or if you're feeling jealous, or if you're feeling not enough, unworthy, not lovable, not loving yourself, if you feel that, you've created that with probably this little kid-like energy of being irresponsible with your decisions, and you create these feelings. So we're completely responsible for our energy. We're given the gift of free will. We're given the gift of life, of light, of movement, of love, of divineness. We're given that, and when we start making decisions from that, all of that, we call that our core self or our soul, tapping into that, where our real desires come from, not our wants, but our desires. When we tap into that, we create our future self with each now. So we can simply go for a walk, and each foot strike is now, 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 now. And when we're visualizing now, or we're creating, we want to create our future, we want to come from this core, light, bright self. And when we do, it's inevitable we're going to create what we desire. Inevitable. Transformation comes, okay, with this intense burning desire. And our desires are in this core, light, high vibrational self. Versus, I want more money, I want more money, I want more money, I want more money. I'm wanting. And you end up being wanting. Right? Or I want to pay my bills, I want to pay my bills. You never get your bills paid.
Hey, let me interrupt for a second here. I want to ask
Sure.
one thing.
Absolutely.
You're talking about some great stuff about tapping into our core energy. Often there are people, and I would put myself in the same category at times, who have trouble connecting in. How do you help somebody like that who finds that they're just stumbling over trying to connect to themselves?
Well, it's a excellent question. And let me bring it home, right, to like everyday life. And for most people, this story might not be everyday life, but the theory, the essence of the story is everyday life. So I was asked to go over to Jim Carrey's house and work with him. And they had a movie coming up. And the movie was called Bruce Almighty. And that was about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so they would schedule me, and he would cancel, and they would schedule me, and they would cancel, and schedule me, and he would cancel. And he just wasn't, he was ready and willing to move forward and get ready for the movie. He had some things going on in his life, but he wasn't quite ready to face that because it was in this, like kind of sluggish energy of not getting started. And we've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
So why I tell the story about somebody that you might not be able to relate to, Jim Carrey, he's a human being with the biggest heart and the same right brain, adult responsible self, and the same left brain, kind of childlike, heck, I don't want to do it, let's cancel Gary. So, and that's okay. And I come from their best self. I come from, we'll eventually tap in to the light and the bright. Okay? So I finally get over there after, a dozen times of canceling, and he finally said, I got to stop canceling. So he made a decision from his adult responsible self. Let's bring Gary over. So I brought him over, and he just started making excuses of why he wasn't working out and why he dragged his feet a little bit. And I'm like, whoa. I don't even know any of that. It's okay. It's all okay. Just what you did. I'm not judging it. Let's just start from where we're at today. You're from Canada, right? And he goes, well, yeah. I said, do you have ice skates? Do you ice skate? He got bright, like a little kid. He goes, yeah. I said, you got these? He said, yeah, they're up in the attic. I said, let's get your skates and let's go ice skating. We can do that. It's like June, it's like 90 degrees. It's L.A. I mean, come on, where are we going to find ice? And I go, I know where the L.A. Kings professional hockey team plays and practices. And so I'll get some ice. I know the people down there, and we'll just rent an hour and a half. Can we rent an hour and a half? I said, yeah, absolutely. So all of a sudden, he's going from sluggish. Maybe the last movie didn't do so well. Maybe he's got some challenges in his life too. And again, none of my business. It's just I'm working with somebody now, where they are right now. And I'm looking at him and going, let's do something awesome. And what happened is we got in the car, we went to the rink, and he turned into the unbelievable bright little kid. The teenager at 15 with his hair flowing in the breeze, right? As soon as he strapped those skates on, he was alive. He was love and life in action.
And as you're describing that, I can actually picture that because we've all seen Jim Carrey on the screen when he goes into one of these roles that he's in, and he's just living it. He's just in that moment. You can just see him in your mind doing exactly what you're just describing.
Well, why we've hung out for 10 years and assisted him, to get into character. So he's a master at coming up with his view of the character in a script, but we got to get him ready for that. And what does ready mean? We always say there's ready, and then there's ready, and then there's ready.
Okay, what's that?
And so what we mean by that, because we keep it simple, I want to keep it simple because this thing could get so psychological and so technical, and I keep it away from that. It's just real. You ask me, can we keep it real, or do you have any real stories? Absolutely. This is the most real story, one of the most powerful real stories, and that is mind, body, and spirit. That's real. Okay, there's a third, let's say, just simplified. So anything we decide, anything we do, anything we move, anything we eat is a mind, body, spirit decision. And when most people react from energies from the outside, maybe they're missing the mind or the body or the spirit part of that decision. So what I'm suggesting is in our spirit, our energy, our life force, is this area in ourselves next to our heart called this core self. That is light and bright, enough and worthy, willing and ready, desirous and divine. it's pure potentiality. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's each client, whether it's you and I chatting or you and I working on a project or Jim and I working on a project, it's helping them tap into there. That's his genius. That's his gift. That's this unbelievable body of work he's created over all the years as he taps into that. And so when I meet him initially, he's not there. So we have to just remind him that's where the genius is. That's where the power is. That's where the creativity is. Because life force, spirit, is creative. We're given the gift to create. We can make, children. We can solve issues. We can, create inventions. It's creative. That's part of being life force, and that's a higher vibration. So all of these things I'm mentioning, this pure potentiality, this light and divine, this enoughness, worthiness, willingness, and readiness, is what we call, if you just took a line right in front of you and just went straight across, all of this, what I just talked about, is above the line, high vibrational energy, high, light, okay? And everything below the line is, I can't, I won't, I'm not enough, I'm too old, I'm too fat, okay, I'm eating too much, I'll never lose this weight, I don't have enough money. That's all below the line. So literally, keeping it simple is when we work with somebody, or if somebody's listening in right now and they want to take control. Your question was, how do we shift? And I said, one, do something you love. Jim Carrey, it was ice skating. Simple as that. Do something you love. If you love to paint, if you love to dance. I was in Toronto not too long ago, and I was talking to a big group of people in this auditorium, and I asked, is anybody stuck? And just like you did, and then the gentleman raised his hand and said, Ray, what do you love to do? I love to dance. I said, when was the last time you danced? Oh, months and months ago. I said, that's the issue. You're not doing what you love. And his eyes lit up just like Jim Carrey. And he's like, I know what, I'm going to the club on Saturday night, and I'm going to dance. And I said, just make sure you text me, okay, how it was. And he texted me a few days after the weekend, and he said, it was awesome, I'm going back. And that's it. It's just ignite yourself. So do something you love, and then if you want to go a little deeper, or if you want more regular, like what would the tool be besides just doing what you love, is understanding this diagram I just kind of described, and that was a line, above the line and below the line. And above the line is this awesomeness, this worthiness, this enoughness, this divineness of us. And then below the line, that's our little kid, irresponsible, not enough, I won't be able to have enough time. It's listen to it. It's just like a little whiny kid that's just lost his way or her way. And so you want to move up little by little by doing things you love, even going for a walk. So just with Jim, when we get started, and he might be, took the summer off or something, and now he's got to get really physically ready for his stunts. He's coming from deconditions, right? So we just start walking. We go out for a walk. We walk on treadmills. We walk. Why? Because it changes. It shifts our energy and our being. And it starts connecting to our possibilities, our pure potentiality. So one, do what you love. Two, think of this diagram of above the line and below the line. And when you're faced with something, don't react. Pause. So the third tool I have is pausing, or make a suggestion, and again, pause. The thing that'll drive you down below the line will be this overreaction or this emotional reaction. And so we want to pause. Why? You just don't want to overreact. And you want to think of yourself at the crossroads, fork in the road, and you want to go right brain, adult responsible, do something you love, come from something you love, come from a higher vibration, this above the lineness, and you'll make these powerful decisions in your life. Truly transform.
Okay. Now you got me thinking. So let's summarize again. What are the three elements? First, there's
yes, simply like do something you love.
Right.
That'll immediately shift you with no analysis, no intellect, no overthinking it. It's just do something you love. When's the last time you did something you really, really love?
Right. So do something you love. That's number one.
Okay. Right. 2 is understand energy. Us as a being. And inside of us is this core self called pure potentiality, light, divine, enough, worthy, willing and ready, desirous. All of that is our core self. And that's really, 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 really high vibration, really light energy, light and bright. Okay, and we call that above the line.
Mm-hmm.
If we drew a line, and you could have above or below the line. Below the line is all of our wounded childlike self. Okay? And that could come from the womb. It could come from dad or mom didn't give you enough attention. That could come from an event happened in your life. That could come from this, you were always a C student and your sisters and brothers were always A and B students. And your mom and dad will go, that's okay, you'll get better next time. Instead of saying, awesome, worthy, right? Awesome, you're enough. I know it's in you. You got it. Way to go. Now how can we make this better? Right? That kind of thing. So our grades and our racing and our, your friend does a 5K faster than you and you're not enough. So there's these times and these grades and all of these things we grew up with, and that's been our structure, Western society, okay, isn't always the healthiest unless it's followed by, and we love you. And you're awesome. And isn't that great?
So first is doing something, finding something that you love to do. The second is understanding energy.
Right, and that energy is light energy and dark energy.
Right.
Or above the line energy or below the line energy.
Right. And then the third?
Third is, what is this energy? Okay? Remember who you really are. You're really this energy.
Okay.
And everybody's got it. Everybody's got light, bright, divine, pure potentiality. Everyone. There are no wounded, not enough people unless you allow yourself to sit in that emotion.
You have apparently been described as a tough love coach, and yet everything you're describing here is about as opposite of tough love as anything I've ever heard. So how on earth did you get that moniker?
Truthfully. Honest and truthful, very direct, and allowing people to be human, up and down, not perfect, attempt a few times, but then, boom, right there. It's 5 a.m., got to get up, Jim. It's let's go, we got to go. We don't have a lot of time. They've given me a time, and you got to get mentally sharp. And then the driver comes and takes him to makeup and then right to the set, and then he's got, a load of responsibilities, remembering his lines and being in character. So, we drive this thing, and then at the end of the day, we'll bring him off the edge, because it's very demanding on the set. With an athlete, it's like we've got a window of time, we've got 5 months, and we're shooting for a Boston Marathon qualifier or a personal best. We've got a movie character to get into, and we've got to look a certain way. You're getting ready to get married, or you're going back for your 30th or 40th reunion, high school reunion, and there's no messing around. You want this or you don't. Okay? It's like helping people get out of their little kid, irresponsible. Because that ego, that energy of that little kid wants us to take an off-ramp. So you're heading down the freeway, and it wants you to keep going on off-ramps. And you want to keep going from, Boston to New York, or you want to keep going from Boston to Philadelphia, and it keeps wanting to take off-ramps to the mall. That's your ego. Doesn't want you to really succeed. It wants to make it really challenging and difficult. And that's human. So we have to get aware. So all of this, step 1, 2, or 3, is all about awareness. So I had a marathoner the other day, and I asked her, what are you feeling? She gave me all these things she's feeling. And I said, let's start from the extreme, the very, very, very beginning. And I said, you had all these feelings because you were aware. So let's not forget that awareness is everything. Transformation doesn't happen without this intense awareness. And that if we want to desire to be something in the future, our awareness has to be now. And the decisions we make now, all of our nows are our future creation. Okay? So the future is really now. And to be like into a movie, or if you want to be an athlete, they have to own their medal now. So it's how they think and how they look and how they feel and how they train and how they sleep and how they eat and how they recover and how they get a massage and how they, love is all very, very, very specifically important to owning the person on the podium now, before it even happens now. So tapping into, I had someone on Facebook the other day asked me, they had run about, 4 hours and 15-minute marathon, and they started looking and they went, if to qualify for Boston, I need a 3 hour and 30 minutes. That's like, 45 minutes. Is that even possible, Gary? And I'm like, you're already a 3:30 marathoner. I am? And I said, yeah, picture somebody that wants to lose 20 pounds. Let's say they're 170 and they want to be 150, or they're 150 and they want to be 125, like out of college again. So the woman's 150. She really wants to be 125. She comes to me and she says, but I'm 150. I said, no, you're 125 pounds now, plus 25. You're already what you're trying to achieve. You just have some emotional protection around you. You have some wounded child decisions that turned into body fat around you. You have, kind of victim around you. You have a lot of lack of movement around you, and they turned into body fat, and you're already 125 pounds. The gentleman was already a 3:30 marathoner. He just needed to own it. And that's what manifesting is all about, is assuming or owning you're already it. Why? Because you're already life force. You're already light, divine, willing, worthy, ready. You're already 125 pounds. So it's not about what am I gaining? What am I absorbing? I got to go to 4 seminars and 2 DVD programs and so forth. No, it's less. Okay? To achieve what we desire, it's about less. It's about letting go of the 25 pounds. It's about letting go of the little irresponsible child. It's about letting go, of overreacting. It's about letting go of staying up all night. It's about letting go of the busy mind so, you can sleep. Because like sleep isn't something we achieve. Sleep is something we allow. So manifesting is about vibrational energies. So when you walk it, talk it, sleep it, eat like it, nutritional supplement like it, get a massage like it, take a day off like it. And I have these athletes just own that medal. Their performance in training just explodes. Jim owns that character now. And he's Bruce Almighty, right? He's Mr. Popper's Penguins. So we begin on day one to own that. Will Ferrell came to me, and he's like, I got this lead with Nicole Kidman in a movie called Bewitched, right? So you may have liked it, you may not have liked it, but the point was is if you view that movie, or even if you do a quick YouTube, 2-minute video of the movie Bewitched, you can see he used to be 235 pounds, and he was 190 pounds there. Because we, again, right from day one, needed to begin to assume we were 190, and then own we were 190, and then the weight started to fall off. He wanted to be, because Nicole Kidman is tall and lean, and he wanted to be tall and lean, because he is underneath. But he just needed to understand he was already 190, and he needed to let go of some of the older parts and identities he had, for all the, Saturday Night Live skits and some of the other movies.
I can just picture listeners, at least in some cases, some listeners I think will just grab right onto what you're saying and say, yes, absolutely. And I can also picture other listeners trying to relate themselves to a Will Farrell or to a Jim Carrey and saying, well, they're successful people. They're people who have, they got it together. If they have a little problem, they can afford to go out and hire you to be their personal trainer and do all this other stuff. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that strong. I don't have that much going for me. What do you tell somebody like that?
Okay, so they're human. That's what people think they are. But they put their pants on just like you and I. Okay? They go to the bathroom. They eat. They eat like a little kid, irresponsible. They gain weight. No different than you or I. No different. Okay? So there's no judging, because judging is below the line. That lower, darker vibrational energy.
That's a good point.
Judging yourself and judging somebody else. So what we do when we work with our clients, or even anybody, is, again, I look at them, believe they have this light, pure potentiality, divineness. And if they're challenged or whining or complaining or, need to just vent, they're not coming from there. They just come from that left-hand turn in that fork in the road. And they just need to get it out, and then I just slowly suggest how powerful they are, how awesome. It was so awesome of you to vent.
That's quite a thing, too, to be told that you're powerful, especially if it's not a message you've heard a lot in your life, to actually be told, you have this wondrous being that is already enough. That's a big message for a lot of people who have not heard that before.
This is true. It's the truth. Okay? It's how, again, just assume without overthinking it and how the world was created, but just we're here. To start with, we're here. And we hear every day people, making babies and having babies and raising the next president of a company and some unbelievable invention and some unbelievable personal record and something you would never think they'd do, and create, a painting and music and voice. We're these amazing human beings with these amazing gifts of free will. Just free will, most people don't think is a gift. They just assume, take it for granted. You have a choice every moment. We call it moment to moment. Every moment of every day you can choose. Now, when you, again, bicep curl, and you want to develop your arms, or you develop your legs, you want to lose weight, you have to practice. Practice, practice, practice. The violinist, Whitney Houston, and her voice, she had a voice coach. She was practicing at the end. And all that was a pain, just deep down suffering that she numbed with numbing agents called meds or drugs or alcohol or again, because the pain was so intense. So again, the A-listers are humans. Everybody we work with is a human. I haven't worked yet with a outer space human being. Okay, so they're all wired the same, basically. And the ones with the biggest challenges and the most suffering are the ones that are disconnected the most. So I'm working with a gal up in Toronto, and from that group I did a speech for. She said, can I hire your services and do Skype calls? And I said, absolutely. So she's a month in, and she's down 15 pounds.
Wow, in 1 month.
In 1 month. She was 220. She's heading to 160.
Wow.
So she had let her life get out of hand a little bit. And again, what she learned in the month is she was her wounded child, her suffering, irresponsible self, maybe eating pizza at midnight kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
Not really helping herself.
Right.
Just kind of suffering in the pain. So all we did was teach her that fork in the road, redesigned her eating program, And then she emailed me the other day, and she says, I lost 6 more pounds of fear.
Ooh, what a way to express it. That's wonderful.
Because in the month, what I teach people that have excess weight is fear. Because it is, truthfully. This is where tough love Gary comes in and goes, nah, that's all crap. That's all BS you just told me. It's fear. You're scared. Well, no, I'm not. No. I'm like, yeah, you are. And boom, this is where it comes. It's like, okay, let's face it. So fear paralyzes people, turns them into the little kid gets wound up in that, creates more fear. So it's this continuum. We got to get them out of the fear. Fear is the future. Fear is like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I won't be, enough, or I don't have it, or gosh, I'll never be able to race like that again. It's fear, and you get paralyzed. You won't even start. So in her case, there was 3 issues in her life that were very fearful for her. That were an illusion. Fear is false. Fear is not even real. It's what you think it is. But it's really not based on evidence. It's not based on anything. And there's a lack of faith in those feelings.
False evidence appearing real.
There you go. Excellent. So along the way, she went, boom, this light bulb went on one of the sessions, and she says, oh, so all this weight is just fear. And I go, yeah. Well, I don't want all this fear on my body. So she says, well, what are the, like you said, 3 steps, start there. So we started with a few steps, and she's just losing it.
That is really
literally, yeah, it's a great story. So It's just like Jim Carrey, and again, she's a receivables clerk at a trucking company, but she's human. So whether she was getting ready for a movie or getting ready to, do the receivables in the trucking company, which are all important, she just had fear.
That's really, I would think for anyone listening, that is something that gives hope. The idea that no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing in your life, no matter how high or low you think your contribution is, you are actually in a place right now where you can identify the fear in your own life and decide to leave it behind. That's very empowering.
Yeah, and it doesn't ever 100% go away. Fear will always be in our lives. It's just not what happens to us. It's how we handle what happens to us. So when fear comes up, we call it this emotion. Fear comes up. Most people dance around it, med themselves. Okay, so what are all the numbing agents? Shopping, gambling, drinking, smoking, dope, meds, sex, hard drugs, heroin, things like that, to name a few. All numbing agents. And some more numbing agents. Denial.
Sure.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. That's not true. That's instant right out of their mouth, right? Okay? So again, we're addicted to, being our little kid sometimes.
You can even be addicted to people, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Well, and that's codependent.
Right.
Why? It's a disconnection from their pure potentiality, this light, this possibility, this divineness. So when they're disconnected, they grab onto people. So if you've noticed people in your life, lack of a better word, they suck your energy dry, or they cling on, or they always want to know what you're doing because their life isn't anything, and that's because they're disconnected from their pure potentiality. And someone just needs to help them, including you, if you're a little uncomfortable that they keep clinging on or they keep trying to suck your energy dry. Don't let them. So this is where boundaries come in to the psychological integration of mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
There's boundaries for you, boundaries for me, boundaries for your wife, boundaries for the, Mitch Gaylord, the athlete. Boundaries. Why? Because, and the boundaries are a simple crash course in boundaries is very simple. Is taking responsibility for everything you think, feel, say, and do. Think, feel, say, and do. So when you take responsibility for everything you think, feel, say, and do, and I take responsibility for everything I think, feel, say, and do, okay, and then I go, hey, wait, you can't do that. And then you're going, hey, wait a minute, I can do anything. I have the gift of free will. I'm responsible for what I think, feel, say, and do, and I go, oh, right, you're right, and you say to me, oh, Gary, you're trespassing. Okay? And that tool right there in a relationship is huge.
One of the things that I promised we would talk about when I first introduced you was this book that you discovered I'm not sure exactly how long ago you discovered it, but you've been kind of promoting and pushing it. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's called Your Invisible Power. And if you think about it, what we've been talking about is this internal power that we have that is an energy, and it creates and it attracts. So if you've ever, it's called Your Invisible Power. It's one of the very, very first, now there's 3 or 4 of them like this, but one of the very first books, way, way, way back, 1929, that talked about this integration of mind, body, and spirit, and that we're energy, and that we attract, and that we can manifest. So when you fast forward till today, and things like the law of attraction and the movie The Secret and all of those, again, points in time that open more doors for people to become aware that this is a real part of us. Mm-hmm. And so how it happened was, oh gosh, after many years, bunch of times qualifying for Team USA, and hundreds of thousands of miles on a bike racing, my hip gave out.
Oh dear.
So all of a sudden, here I was 50. I'm 55 now. I was 50, and what I love about the story is I was 25 and my knee gave out, and I wrecked my knee water skiing, and I was a pro baseball player and had to completely, I took a desk job. I was depressed, and I worked my way through and out of that back to being an athlete again, and then raced and competed with a new knee. And then, boom, you turn 50, and I had just made Team USA and All-American in the U.S. and all those kinds of things that let you know you're on your path. And then the hip gave out, so I was perplexed. And if anybody ever has an accident or something of health, when I was all about health, and now something in my health is awry, you're stunted. You're just completely stopped in your track. And then you worry, right? And you go to that little kid that's irresponsible and fear, right? Oh my gosh, what if I can't move again? What if I can't move like I used to move? What if I can't move like I moved all my life, like a little kid all the way up until 50?
Big fear.
So that came in. I'm so grateful that it came in only for about a half a day. Mm. Now, most people, it could come in a month, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 4 years, and they just get paralyzed. So I was talking to a client. She says, "What's up? You don't sound very yourself." And I said, "Well, I just came back from the doctor, and my hip's got to be replaced. And I don't know what to do." And I was tearful on the call. Mm. Come on, Gary, do what you tell us to do. It was one of those kinds of calls, And I was like, oh, right, I'm off track. I'm not even connected to my core self. And so I had just literally was in a New Thought bookstore, and this book just came off the shelf.
Interesting. And
it's like one little mini book. It's a little small book. You can probably read it in a day, maybe 2 days max. And it's just grounds us and lets us know we're enough, and lets us know we're energy, and lets us know it's like the pure, authentic, genuine beginning of this whole movement. And so I just identified it immediately. I read it, and then all of a sudden all these things started happening. And the doctor from India came into my life. I jumped on a plane. I went to India and got a really advanced procedure on my hip that allowed me to compete again.
Really?
Because, again, remember earlier I said turning 50, looking 40, feeling 30. That's who I was until the hip went out. Mm. Okay, so now I'm 55, looking 45, feeling 35 again, right? Because I have a new hip, but this hip procedure is fairly advanced and reconstructive. And we weren't doing it in the United States. We just started a few years ago. So even the best of doctors in the U.S. are new at it. So I didn't want to go to somebody who was very new at it. I wanted to go to the master.
Sure.
So I chose quality, and I chose experience, and I chose the same parts that they would do, the best parts, for the hip. And now, again, I was in the Tucson Marathon the other day, last Sunday, and pacing my client, and I've done a couple of marathons since the new hip, and just training. I just took my time. I took 2 or 3 years to work my way back and to build my muscles back up. So this book, Your Invisible Power, if anybody's just completely stuck, you can literally read 2 or 3 pages and just it'll get you going. It'll get you thinking, it'll ground you, and you can use the whole book, utilize the whole book, and take out a piece of paper, and before you know it, you're doing goals, you're visualizing, you're manifesting things you really desire. And also what I'm thinking about right now is kind of rewriting it in modern language.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that it'll be a joint project with the people that have that book, and then the new modern version, kind of like we were talking about today.
Mm-hmm. The book, Your Invisible Power, is not one that most people know about, probably not easy to find. Where can people find a copy?
So I put it into ebook form.
Oh.
So it's free. So if they just went to Gary Kobat, GaryKobat, GaryKobat.com, and just jump on there and fill in your address, email address, and click the button Submit, it'll come to you with my latest newsletter. And then 2 times a week, I create a mind, body, spirit kind of thought, like a passage. And yesterday, or the other days, was on faith. You know, faith is an absence of needing evidence.
Ooh, what an interesting way to look at faith. I don't think I've ever heard that one before.
So faith, most people in their fears, right? I work with a lot of clients from, like I said, housewives to people with big influences to CEOs to athletes to just getting back on their feet, young lady in Toronto wanting to lose weight and find her true self again. This faith, having faith is the opposite of fear. So when they're in fear, they don't have faith. They have doubt. So faith is the absence of doubt, and the absence is of, I've got to see it first before I'll inch my way forward. I'm like, no, you're already it. Okay? So I'm coming from, they're already a 125-pound person when they're 150. If they choose, if they use their gifts of free will. Okay? So if you wanted to wrap, this whole conversation in the importance of worthiness, feeling worthy versus unworthy, feeling enough versus not enough, feeling lovable versus not and unlovable. So this worthy, how do we feel worthy or make decisions from being this adult, responsible, worthy self?
Okay.
As we tap back into this pure potentiality that's within every one of us. Now, let's take a second here on this. It doesn't ever change. We were born with it. We were born with this divine light. It can't be scarred. It can't be improved upon. It's always there. It just is. So all of these stories, Mary's stories and Lori's stories and Susan's stories and Joe's stories and Jack's stories, all these stories we tell ourselves are just stories.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming from this pure potentiality, this unscarred, worthy enough person. They're coming from what we think is our experience, and experience is. So a powerful, grounding, simple tool that we share with people and my clients is that true? Oh, they don't love me. My sister has never called in and she doesn't love me. Is that true?
Wow.
How do you know that?
I love this. This is great. I don't think I've ever heard it expressed this way before. This is really great.
So I had a young lady who has 2 sisters, and they don't reach out to her much. And I said, tell me a little bit about them. And so we talked a little about them, and I said, do they drink alcohol? They said, yeah, they drink all the time, 3, 4, 5 drinks a day. God, I'm worried about them. I go, do you know anything about people who drink that much every day?
Mm.
She said, not really. Just that's not good. I don't drink. I said, good that you don't drink. But let me share with you what happens, chemistry. I said, alcohol is a depressant. So they're consuming a depressant. So when you get depressed, you're not really active as much as you used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You're stuck on the couch. You're kind of lethargic. Your mind's not sharp. I said, it's all sugar, so then it's the harshest ingredient that we can consume is eating too much sugar. It just ages us fastest. And I said, my guess is that if they consistently drink, they're just trying to survive. They're just trying to keep everything together themselves, and they don't have a lot of energy or vision to reach out to a lot of people. And if they really get drunk and really get slightly addicted and they're really over the top on Saturday and Sunday, their Mondays are challenging. I said, so let them off the hook. Maybe they do love you deep down inside because they're light and pure potentiality, and they're also divine. They're just not connected to it, and they're covering up some pains that they have.
Mm.
And we don't know if it's the same pain. We don't know if they have their own instances. We don't know if the three of you are linked to your mother and that relationship with your dad or your mom. But without going there yet, I told her, just let them off the hook, and let's work on you and you connecting as much as you can. Because when you connect to your pure potentiality, your light and your divineness, you're enough. You're worthy. What she was doing, pining, whining, I need love.
Mm.
Okay? And she may, but she needs it from herself first.
Yes.
So love ourselves. This self-love, self-care, nourishment called love is integral for us to love others. So it's not that we don't want others to love us. It's just we're responsible for everything we think, feel, say, and do. We're responsible for loving ourselves. And as soon as we do, others will love us, but it'll be like added benefit. It'll be additional enjoyment of life.
Would you
but
say
when
that
you're not loving yourself, just a quick finish here,
Yeah.
when you're not loving yourself, you're kind of empty, and you start then clinging on to other people's love, or you do crazy things like put wacky, too revealing pictures on Facebook for attention, and you see it all the time.
Mm.
People just needing love.
Yeah, and what I was going to ask is, it strikes me that this is quite possibly the most common, the most ubiquitous symptom that we see. People who, in a wide variety of ways and taking a wide variety of routes, all basically manifesting the same thing, that they're disconnected and that they're feeling this lack of love.
Yeah, when they're drinking too much, they need love. But from themselves first and others, but they disconnect from others sometimes.
Mm.
Socially, not as outgoing, otherwise, unless it's in a bar on a Saturday night. Okay, if they're on drugs, they just need love. If they're yelling and screaming, they have anger issues, they just need love.
And most importantly, they need that love from within.
Yes, it's in there already. They just aren't connected to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because our essence is love.
What about the person? Now, this show, of course, is primarily, at least nominally, based on the idea of the law of attraction, although we travel into all areas of life and try to keep it as real as we possibly can. But one of the things that people often will perhaps stumble on when they're trying to apply this is they'll say, well, I'm thinking positive thoughts, I'm holding positive emotions, but I'm still not getting anywhere. I mean, I thought that was all I had to do. Isn't that it?
So we are this vessel. There are indicators. So our body doesn't lie. Things that consistently happen to us, the issues in our life, these are all mirrors revealing. So again, back to our tool of, is this true? So they might think. I have a classic marathoner. She thinks she's doing everything correctly. And I said, you're awesome, and you're doing it, but what you're creating here is something 35 minutes slower than you really desire. Well, how's that? I show up on time. And she lists all the things like defensive, like I'm perfect. And I'm like, no. I said, there are, again, various things. So here's some key ones to answer the question. If your heart's not really open to receive, there could be words or the doing. I'm doing all these things, as you said. Hey, I'm doing all these things. But are you being? Are you really open to receive? Are you really patient, or are you have anxiety that you're not receiving? I'm not receiving. Which is a block. It's like money. When you let go and you just own, money will flow. When you're like pining or grinding or wondering, and you're not going to receive.
That's a tough distinction, too, sometimes.
Well, it's a huge, intimate awareness. So what I suggest to everyone is, the work we do, you're a healer, I'm a healer, but the work we do, and I do one-on-one with my clients, is I help them become aware that they're really building an entirely new or deeper, intimate relationship with themselves.
That's a powerful thought all by itself.
Yeah, it's like it's all about relationships. And everybody, when they say that or hear that, and even in a business sales meeting, it's all about relationships, and it's really about the relationship you have with yourself. Mm-hmm. And usually when I find or hear or work with somebody that says, but I'm doing everything, and I really, one or two things they're really blocking.
Very,
versus
very interesting.
The lady, I was going to say, versus the lady that emails me, and she says, I just lost another 6 pounds of fear. Clearly open to let it go.
Yeah.
But I just can't sleep. You ever hear that one? I just can't sleep. And I'm like, okay, that's a clear block, a disconnection, of peace. Mm-hmm. So the opposite of not sleeping is peace. So how do we achieve peace? We let go. What happens when we let go? We trust.
I think one thing that I know in my own life I've had trouble with is when you think about letting go, knowing what it is you're letting go of, knowing how to identify where am I grasping on. It's often, we have the biggest difficulty identifying our own limitations and noticing that they're there, because they've been there all along, but we have just blinded ourselves to them, so we can't really see them, if you will. And that's the real challenge, trying to identify them, and then once we've identified them, as you say, letting go of them. That's the challenge sometimes.
Sometimes it's even letting go of the need to know.
Tell me more.
Okay. Well, it is what it is. And it's okay. There's no good and no bad. There's just, it is what it is. And what it is on track or not to my desire. In alignment with my desire or not.
Okay.
If it's not in alignment, shift. Got to shift our energy. Everything is energy.
And shift to what?
Well, earlier I said, like, for instance, the person getting ready for a concert, a person getting ready for a movie, a person getting ready for an athletic event. There are, they mentally, physically, and spiritually, when they are in these peaceful, deeper connected moments, connecting to their love, it's all going to flow. As soon as it's not connected, they're going to overthink. They're going to intellectualize. They're going to analyze. They're going to analysis paralysis. They're going to block.
So that's the test.
Flow, there's this whole concept of flow. It's very popular now, starting to be talking about flow on a happiness level. It's like other people don't make us happy. We make us happy. And where does happiness come from? Peace. Well, what makes us peaceful? Well, who asks ourselves throughout the day? And I find a small percentage of people go, I got up this morning desiring peace. Just choosing peace for one day. Whatever happens, employee's out of balance, something got delayed, something didn't arrive on time. Oh, well, I'm choosing peace.
Sometimes it's just choosing peace for 5 minutes.
Yeah, bingo. Exactly. That's challenging.
It can be. Yeah, I've been there. I think everybody has been there at one point or another.
And I say challenge. I didn't say hard. It's hard. It's really hard. Well, that's an energy. Okay? Challenging is like, we all love a good challenge, right? And then it's an opportunity. So it's an opportunity. And it was funny. I was running with a client yesterday, and I decided to take her over to UCLA track and to do the stairs, stadium stairs, up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. And if you ever want to know if you've got fear or you've been trying to run, you're not into it, or you don't seem to be getting faster, go up a pair of stadium stairs, but then go down, like jogging. And she got so scared going down. And I said, awesome. I said, great. This is where your fear is coming from. You're in your head. You're analyzing, what does it take to go down the stairs? And I said, if you want to break it down, it's the same footstep, equidistant, every time. You'll land at the same exact spot every stair. You can do it with your eyes closed. If you want to analyze it, but I said, no, just by feel. Foot strike, foot strike, foot strike, foot strike, foot strike. Trust it. You'll get to the bottom. So this whole area of trust, faith, absence of evidence, right? Going down the stairs, I don't know if I can jog all the way down because So I said, where's your fear come from? Well, I've never been able to do this. I loved it. Why? She brought her past, filled up her noggin with the past. She had no room for the now.
We've been talking a lot about people, particularly in the realm of exercise and being fit, because obviously that's a large portion of what you do. I can think of people in my own life who just have a loathing of trying to do any kind of physical exercise for a variety of reasons, just because it's not fun. It's drudgery. It's just, oh God, do I have to do this? I really don't like this at all. What do you have for somebody like that?
Well, first of all, I started teaching integration, mind, body, and spirit, just leveraging, using walking, a bike, movement, right, exercise, as you say. It's something, it comes near and dear to me, but then when I look back, even as a little kid, the better I got, or the conference honors and the high school MVPs and the captains of the team at Team USA and all these things along the way, were just because I stayed tapped in and tuned in to my enoughness, my pure potentiality, believing in people and believing in myself first. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you're trying to do a spreadsheet on Excel or whether you're trying to get ready for a movie and memorize your lines, whether do a public speech, raising your kids and not freaking out and getting all frustrated. It doesn't matter. What your life is moment to moment, and everything we do, everything is an experience and an opportunity. Each day is a gift. Doesn't matter what we do. So yes, I've leveraged exercise because what I think, there's two things that really, like people say, Gary walks around, shines a light, like a spotlight on stuff. And don't judge it, but just there it is. So what does what are some of the common things that like bring something up really quickly? A relationship. You find out what you're not good at really fast, what you're scared of really fast, okay, and things you got to face really quickly. It's like, on a treadmill, is a relationship. Patience, acceptance, love, what is really love, all loving myself, loving somebody else, honoring them, huge. We grow fastest in a relationship. We grow fastest when we're moving. So all non-movement is first, how long do you want to live? Well, nobody's ever asked me that question, Gary. And I said, well, you have a choice? And I said, well, you have a choice of quality. You have free will. And the higher the quality and the higher the vibration, the chances are you're going to live longer with a lot of quality. So there's the people that deteriorate starting in their 40s, and it's down to nothing by 76, and they die. And it's this long slope of gradual decline. Then there's these other people that live right up until 80 on the golf course, and then die at the watering hole at the 19th hole, doing what they love, or die on the golf course. But their quality of life was outstanding until the very last day. Well, that's more rewarding life, because the average age or the average time span is 14 years of suffering for most people with their health till they transition out. That's the average. That doesn't mean you will do it or I'll do it. What I'm saying is that's the average. Mm-hmm. So that means we have issues and IVs, and we have a surgery, and we have these things, high blood pressure, diabetes. Why? A lack of self-care, self-love. So moving, where bodies are made to move, that's a decision of self-love. Okay, your heart is a muscle, just like a bicep. It's like a quad, That the longer we live, the stronger that heart is. The biggest killer, heart disease. So if you want to increase your life and the quality of your life, just walk. That's it. Nothing drastic. No heavy weightlifting yet. We can get into that, but I'm saying is just get moving.
Walking.
Beyond. Yeah, I was going to say beyond just the parking lot. Actually take a half-hour a day and just
walk. Right. I have to say walking is one of my favorite activities.
It's awesome. That's why hiking is so awesome, because then you're out of city stresses and life, and you're out in the woods, you're out on a hiking trail, or you're out at the beach, and you're disconnected from urban stress. Now, if you're in urban, still walk. People in New York, they really fit.
Oh, yeah. In New York, it's almost like a cliche. You hardly can see a TV shot or a movie shot of New York without seeing some jogger or somebody walking or somebody out in Central Park or something.
So remember when I said mind, body, and spirit. So mind, we want to stay focused. We always got all these diversions and off-ramps coming into our minds. So stay focused on our adult responsible self. Second, the body. Body needs to move. So what I do with a client is I completely do blood workup and a brain workup. Two tests tells me what they're lacking. Like most women 40 and older are lacking iron and ferritin, which is stored iron. Mm-hmm. And that creates sluggishness. So why? Because iron and ferritin create oxygen in the red blood cell, and that gives us energy. So they have this low amount of oxygen in the red blood cells, so they have a low amount of energy. So I just start there. With a simple blood workup. And then in their brain, a lot of people these days are coming up with serotonin deficiency. Now, what is serotonin? Joy of life. Serotonin is lack of sleep. So that's low serotonin is lack of sleep. Low serotonin is sugar fixations and alcohol addictions. Low serotonin.
Okay.
So if I have somebody that needs to lose weight, get ready for a movie, I'll do a brain workup. It's quick, it's simple, a couple $100. And we look at their serotonin, we give them amino acids to help bump their serotonin, and their sugar fixation is a little less. Their sleep is a little better. Their joy of life then starts to become. So when we internally balance our body, there's order or there's disorder. So the people that never move, and if they're not really eating well, they don't have a passionate vision of their life, they're probably slightly imbalanced or disorders happening in their body.
So getting back to the topic of exercise, then, exercise doesn't really have to be thought in terms of having a regular running routine or doing all these exercises you don't like to do. It's just a question of getting going.
Yes, just get going. And that's why senior, programs where they just, keep going, where they just move their arms and move their legs, or they just go for when I was in the World Championships in Belgium, and you would see 30 seniors on urban bikes. So these people are probably 65, 70, 75-year-old, a pack of 30 of them, and they go around the neighborhood every morning, like clockwork.
Wow.
A little pack riding their bike. And I was like, Mom, get on a bike. So that's, again, free will. It's a gift. It's a choice. And we can just go walk the shallow end at a community pool. Just hang on to the sides and kick your legs if you like the water. There's people that love water. Other people just walk. Or get a dog and you'll find you're younger.
Mm.
Or walking your dog every day. Giving love. Each of you giving unconditional love to each other.
Well, Gary, this has been an absolutely fascinating look, not just into what you do, but into your mind and into your approach to life. And first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time, because I'm sure everyone listening to this is going to get at least one thing out of it, and probably a lot more. Before we leave you, can you just give listeners, where can they find out more about you, about what you're doing, and so forth?
Sure. They can go to Facebook, Gary Kobat, Kobat. They can get their twice-a-week mind-body passage that I send out each week for free, GaryKobat.com. They can get the free ebook, Your Invisible Power, by going to GaryKobat.com. And then once you're on that mailing list, I'll give you upgrades and updates of where I'm at throughout the country and Canada over next year. And if you want, I do a retreat called Rediscovering Your Self-Worth. And it's taking a very specific 2-day look at how to tap in that pure potentiality that we have.
Very cool. Gary Kobat, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. It has been an absolute pleasure listening to all you've had to share with us.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.
We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.